Right now we're approaching the fourth year of the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. Unemployment is still high. There's great anxiety among people. And so it might be good at this point to take a look at just how we got to the point where we are today. From time to time we have had recessions, but usually the recessions are a function of the business cycle. To give an idea as to how bad this crisis was, in 2008, either September, October of 2008, Secretary Paulson called members of Congress into his office and said that unless we act, and act quickly, the financial system of the world will melt down in a matter of days. So this was a very critical time. The recession really started in about mid-2007, and by the time that President Obama took office in January 2008, there was a spiraling, downward spiral of unemployment that reached about 780,000 people losing their jobs in January of 2009. From that point on, it has picked up a bit, crossed over into positive employment numbers later on in 2009, 2010, but certainly has not been anything to excite most of our people. How did we come to this? Actually, there's been many different points of view as to what were the causes of the recession. There are people who say it was too much government regulation. In point of fact, it was an absence of government regulation. What had happened is that institutions, sometimes referred as non-banks, in other words, banks that did not take deposits but made mortgages, engaged in loans that were, I guess, very improvident. In other words, what they did was underwriting standards went out the window. There's some acronyms that have popped up, such as NINA, which means no income, no assets. These are also been called liar's loans. And so what happened is financial institutions were making loans of this type. What facilitated the ability of these so-called non-banks to make loans was the financing that was provided by the Wall Street banks, which then financed the lenders, bought the securities, and packaged them into securities, very unusual securities, collateralized debt obligations, mortgage-backed securities, and the like, which then became the heart of the financial crisis. And so when these securities went bad, because the loans underlying them went bad, this basically was the trigger for the situation that we're in today.